Hello, everyone. Today we have a guest speaker for you, but before I do that, I'll do a quick intro about myself. My name's Joel. I am here as the industry representative. So I spent 7 years as founder and director of an e-com retail company, and we achieved some great things. But one of our constant problems was protecting our margins against shipping related issues and all the time it took out of our team's day. So I know the problems very well, but what's coming up in this event? We'll be looking into some of the common problems around distribution within retail and e-com companies. And we will talk about the current solutions to these problems so we can fix them in the most effective way possible. There's also a Q&A session at the end with our speaker, so you can bring up any unique issues that we've missed. So that's a great segue into introducing today's speaker and expert on the subject, Robin. Robin, if you could introduce yourself and let the people know what you've been up to.
Hi all, I'm Robin Seymour from Smart Consign. We are a business that plugs into eBay, Amazon, Linkworks, and all the carriers in the UK. We have a vast library, so right from DHL, UPS, right through to UK Mail and Yodel, etc. And we enable people to raise shipments either manually through the website or through APIs or through their e-stores, whichever way they want to do it. And it really is a simple, easy to use system. We focus on retailers, and we also have couriers use our system based on what they need or who the customers are and how they work.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much. So who's this event for? Like, who's this? What the subject we're going to be talking about today? Who will want to listen, essentially?
This particular one is specifically aimed at retailers. They obviously have just gone through Christmas, and that presents a lot of challenges pre-Christmas, during Christmas, and post-Christmas with returns. It's peak season, and that has obviously an impact on their shipping, their online businesses. And so this is based on our experiences from that and just general day-to-day use of the system, and what benefits, how that will benefit a retailer and fix problems.
Cool. So talk to me about some common problems that retailers face within their distribution. I know it all too well, but for the audience at home.
There's quite a lot. Outdated technology or a shop that may, or e-commerce that may grow quicker than their systems are capable of handling, which means they might be running quite a manual process initially before they move to some level of automation. They may have a lack of systems integration, so they may be manually entering all their shipping orders into any number of the carriers they're using, and they may be using more than one carrier, so that could be quite time consuming and quite laborious. Each carrier system has its own unique way of working, so that can also mean training and retraining staff for each system and each service the carriers offer. And there can be a lack of carrier choices because they don't necessarily have the time to use multiple systems, so they just use one carrier as a one-stop shop, which may well work and does work a lot of the time. But if they do have quite a range of products, they might have a range of carriers they should use for different services and play to each carrier's strengths. Some carriers are better with volume, some carriers are better with smaller products, some larger products. Some will give better rates for parcels versus consignments and so on and so forth. So it really is a case of every single customer has, or every single retailer has their own specific requirements, and 8 times out of 10, it's unlikely that one carrier will be able to fulfill all those needs in the most efficient or cost-effective manner. Other issues are, prime example being, if a couple of years ago we had CityLink Go close down just before Christmas, and this caused absolute chaos during the Christmas period, and all the other carriers had to pick up the slack. We have situations where, well, we've just had, more recently we had Tuffnells, a similar situation arise, not through Christmas, but Tuffnells handled quite unique oversize and freight that was odd shapes and odd sizes of weights, and this put a lot of pressure on that area of expertise within the carrier industry. And then you have situations like Yodel had this year, which is, or this last Christmas, which was when they were over capacity. And quite simply, I had to tell a lot of their customers that they couldn't collect and deliver their parcels and to use other carriers and things, which if you don't have another carrier account, or even if you do, but you're not set up and you're doing everything manually, that can take quite a toll on what you're doing and what you're taking care of and cause quite a panic. There's also on certain companies where they'll have a lot of staff who are using the carrier systems, you've got lack of security, lack of control of who has access to carriers, which can leave doors open to blue collar theft, misuse, and what I would call, we call internally backdoor theft, which is effectively a situation where you have staff use a carrier system to ship out parcels as a way of stealing products. Rather than walking out the doors with it physically, they just post it to themselves or to another address. This does happen quite a lot, especially with larger retailers where they have less control of what's going on. And that really does sum up most of the key points.
Absolutely. So I know from my own experience, I wasn't at the size of Tufnells or anything, but we had multiple platforms that we sold on, and then we had multiple couriers depending on the destination country. And that was just a nightmare for me personally in the first few years, and then became a nightmare for my team. So I'm assuming there's a better solution that I didn't find back then.
Yeah. So whichever way you use Smart Consign, effectively, you put all your account details for each of your carriers, set up all your services, if you want specific services, or just enable them all, depending on what you've arranged with your carrier, into Smart Consign, and then use Smart Consign as kind of the front end to control and manage all your shipping. Now, whether you do that manually through the manual entry page, or whether you do that through APIs from your own e-commerce system or website, or whether you do that direct plug into eBay, Amazon, or any other marketplace, or Limworks, the point is the results are still the same. You have complete granular control. You can then set up rules and rates, so you can manage certain parcel sizes will go with certain carriers, and it becomes all automated. You might choose certain postcodes to be delivered even by your own drivers and set those postcodes up using the rules so that your drivers will deliver to those local postcodes. And then you might use DPD for certain size shipments, and Yodel for other size shipments, and Every for others, and DX for others. It depends on what services you've got set up. But the beauty is, rather than relying on human person making that decision on the fly, you can literally preset all that up within Smart Consign, and Smart Consign will just take care of that automatically and just pump out label after label with all that information on and the correct carrier chosen. So it's just literally a case of any person with the minimal training can just stick the label on the box and know that it's going to get collected by the right courier and go to the right place. The other side of things is it also enables you to have far more granular control on the tracking side of things, because you're able to see all your tracking in one location. You've got a very simple dashboard which consolidates all the tracking information irrelevant of carrier right in front of you, so you can immediately see any exceptions. To explain exceptions, that's when there's an issue with a shipment. So whether it's delayed or lost or whatever, we're picking up all the scanning information, consolidating it all, normalizing it all, making it all very simple and easy to read for anyone who's using the system.
Nice. My issue back then was that it was taking up so much time in my day. I'm assuming this is something that you are experienced with all the clients that are coming on board, and this is kind of the key thing, time and money, that you're trying to help them with.
Absolutely. Well, even if it's most simple, as I mentioned before, even its most simple point, the fact that all the tracking is consolidated means you can proactively get in touch with a carrier, see there's an issue on the system, and either speak to the shipper or potentially even the receiver, or at the very least the carrier, to do some proactive chasing up rather than reactive, which is where you're waiting for your receiver or shipper to contact you and say there's a problem. You can see it all there and then, relatively live data across everything. So you log into one system, you see it all, you've pulled all your information, you do that several times a day or all day if you want to watch the live feed, and you have literally cut down on your waiting times and and it's just far more productive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's far more productive. You've not got any. You can stop it. You can stop any points of disaster, or at least mitigate any disaster before the customer or shipper or receiver contacts you, and therefore it's already become a major problem.
Absolutely cool. So I'm guessing you experience a lot of people who are trying to solve these issues, and probably like me, they weren't doing it very effectively. Have you got any examples of what you've seen other people do to kind of get around these issues that are much slower and less effective, just so that maybe the audience can relate and this is what they're doing at the moment?
Many things. You might have a key member of staff in the warehouse or in the logistics department who knows absolutely everything. And they'll do a level of training potentially to teach people on what systems, which carrier to use for what product, and so on and so forth. But if you're using a range of carriers, that can become quite intensive. And if that person's off ill or leaves the business, that is a single point of failure that can cause major, major headaches. So rather than allowing one person to sit there managing which item goes where and with which carrier, you plug it all in. It all becomes very, very much more optimized and automated. You just remove a major point of failure. At the end of the day, simple tasks that are being done repeatedly on a daily, hourly, or more frequent basis, remove the human interaction from that and just make it as simple as possible. It becomes almost quicker than a point and click. You've also got situations where should any carrier fail or not be hitting service levels that you require, for whatever the reason is, whether it be temporary or a bigger issue, you can immediately just log into the system and redivert all those shipments that were meant for that carrier, or and update them to a new carrier. Simple as that, and then regenerate the labels. So it really does become very time efficient, especially handling any problems. It's about avoiding problems in the first place, but if they are going to happen, you're literally dealing with them very, very quickly, whether that be for 3 parcels or 300 parcels or 3,000 parcels.
Nice. You've touched on something there. Sometimes certain carriers have random issues. I remember them very well, where we couldn't get parcels sent out. So a solution here is just a very quick switch without too much hassle.
Yeah. So we do have customers who use us purely as a DR plan, which is basically where they might only use one carrier for most of their shipping, but they have all their carrier accounts set up as a backup, and then they'll have them all plugged into Smart Consign, so that at the flick of a switch, that's a technical term, obviously, they're not necessarily flicking a switch, but the point is, a very quick decision, they can move all their shipping over to another carrier or spread the load or whatever it might be that's necessary just to manage their shipments more effectively, whatever their reason might be. And that can be any number of their own decisions. It's nothing to do with us. That's down to them. We are completely agnostic. We just plug into as many carriers as possible to give our customers or shippers the option to use as many different systems as possible. We have no allegiance to any carrier. We don't make any decisions. We don't offer any pricing or rating or anything like that. We're purely and simply a tool.
Absolutely. So what kind of size companies can you help, essentially? Give us a range of who your current clients are.
We deal with large subscription-based companies who ship a lot of volume on a monthly basis, down to customers who ship a couple of hundred a night. Our sweet spot generally is anyone shipping over 10,000 shipments per month. That's really where things start to get where you'll generally find customers, shippers, retailers are using more than one carrier or have more complex requirements, and speed becomes an issue. So when they're shipping 10,000 or more, that's generally when we start to find people looking at using us, or when they know that they're going to hit that level and they're ramping up to it quickly. And anything beyond that.
Cool. So if people are sitting and watching this and they are experiencing these problems, what could they, like, what's the next steps here? What can Smart Consign offer?
What I would say is sign up for a trial of 3 months on a simple pay-as-you-go. We'll, based on this, anyone that signs up based from this will get a 50% off all Smart Consign fees. And together we'll optimize. We need to first benchmark what you're currently doing, how long it's taking you, and other metrics like that. and then we will literally plug you in, set everything up. We'll go through with you and help you work out your rules and your rates if you want to do different shipping based on pricing and things like that. And then from there, we can give it over a course of 3 months. We can then measure and see how much we've saved you. We expect to see a mass improvement of at least 10% across the board, not just on costs, but on time saving, productivity, headaches, and mitigating, being proactive with customer issues and complaints, which is only going to help as more and more people use things like Trustpilot to kind of log any issues they have with shipping. At the end of the day, once you've done your sale, you're completely and utterly reliant on a carrier to do right by you and look great. And most of them will. But to be able to mitigate any potential risks, it's worthwhile using us. So I strongly recommend anyone try us for 3 months, see the benefits. You see major improvements, you'll save money, you'll save time, you'll have wiser carrier service decisions. In theory, you should lower your carrier charges as well because the system is making more informed decisions far quicker. Your staff training will be far lower. And if you do have issues with staff using carrier accounts in ways they shouldn't, whether it be for personal shipping or because things are being sent out of the back door, then you'll have very clear visibility of who's using the system, where and when, because you'll know everything. You can get it right down to granular, who's done what within the system, who raised that shipment, and et cetera, et cetera. Overall, you will become more productive, and that's what we all want, which gives you back time and enables you to grow your business further.
Cool. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but in terms of the time that we're going to save for people if they were to switch to Smart Consign, it's very hard to quantify. I know that, but have you got kind of like an average hours per week figure or anything along those lines?
One of our larger, more regular, when I say larger, they ship larger volumes. That's a better way of putting it. One of our larger volume shippers do a lot of bulk shipments, massive batches, and they save hours. I think it works out 6 or 7 hours per week on the physical process of shipping, because of the amount of, they ship tens of thousands of orders in one go. And when they do that, because of the way our system handles those file uploads, because we can handle file uploads of that size or larger, we can process far quicker, and we're able to analyze the data far quicker. And rather than, without getting too technical, a lot of other systems, when they do a bulk upload, if there's an error in the file, it'll stop the whole file. So if an address isn't correct, it'll stop the whole file from going. We don't. We literally highlight exactly which cell or which address is incorrect, carry on processing the other, and then at the other end spit out a set of another file that tells you which addresses didn't work for which reason, whether that be an incorrect postcode or random text that's been entered because it's been pulled from another system, like a question mark in a postcode that shouldn't be there, as an example. So it saves them masses of time, masses and masses.
Lovely stuff. Is there anything else that you think we've missed, or shall we open the floor up to questions? If anybody does have any questions, by the way, please throw them in the comments, and we will point them to Robin's direction.
Specifically, my quick summary is you remove the chance of carrier issues. You get rid of the simple repetitive tasks are removed. So you're going to remove boredom and definitely increase productivity and optimize your whole shipping flow. So that's it. And as far as I'm concerned, that is short, simple, and sweet.
Absolutely. Let me just check the comments. I've got another question. If not, so from my own experience, again, I dealt with the hassle of juggling several platforms and several couriers, depending on the destination country. So I was always worried about changing systems. I mean, if I'm perfectly honest with you, I didn't know something like this existed at the time, or maybe I thought it was out of our budget. But I was always worried about changing systems because I was set in my ways, and I thought that it would be more hassle than it's worth. Knowing your business like I do now, I know it's obviously a very quick return on investment in terms of time. Is this something that you're seeing other customers very worried about? Maybe you've got some examples of that.
What you tend to find, there's a few different things around that worry. You get customers who have potentially one carrier they've been using for a long time, and whether they are perfect or not, they've potentially outgrown, or as they've increased their product range, they might well have new products they want to send that wouldn't necessarily be the perfect fit for that particular carrier. And they don't want to change because they've either done their own personal integration into that carrier, or it's a case of it's not truly broken, so why fix it? They don't want to learn a new system. They don't want to have new drivers turning up and all those kind of things. The beauty of it is, once they've integrated into Smart Consign, in whichever method they're using, whether that be API, file upload, FTP, SFTP, or manual entry, it won't make any difference. The process will remain the same on their side, and from our side, we'll, based on their rules and requirements, it'll just be funneled to the different carriers. So it really will become very, very straightforward for any change they need. We've minimized their internal training process, learning process, whatever you want to call it. Is just very, very straightforward from their side. And the same goes if a new carrier comes onto the scene. When we integrate with them, they just get access to that carrier regardless. Simple as that.
Cool. Another one, you mentioned APIs a little bit earlier. So that's from the sell-in platforms, I assume. I guess the general rule is if there's an API, you can connect to it?
Yes. Yeah, we have our APIs, people that are public. Customers can retailers can either use our APIs to plug into their own warehouse management or order management system, whether that be their bespoke one or they're using something else, or plug into their e-commerce system, whichever way they want to go, or we can do it the other way around. We can plug their APIs into us. It makes no difference either way. But the point is, we handle APIs, so do they. And it's just a way of all these different systems speaking to each other. Most modern systems have APIs. So on that basis, whether we plug in or they plug in, the availability is there.
Cool. Thank you very much. So if there's anybody watching in terms of next steps, what they can do, what should people do?
Email sales@smartconsign.io. Mention today, by all means, to get the 50% off the next 3 months. Sign up on a pay-as-you-go, so they can use us for as long or as little they want at that price. But for the first 3 months, they will get 50% off. We will then do a review, benchmark, plug in, and then compare what they were getting and their results beforehand and after using us. And if they see a benefit, then we can move forward. And if not, no harm, no foul. We gave it a go, and they can go back to their old method. We're not holding anyone to contract. If they want to sign up for longer because they like what they get, then obviously we can discuss discounts and special rates and special features and customization if required. But that's generally for people who sign up for a minimum of 12 months or longer. And it really is that simple. We'll just offer, at the moment, we just offer a very simple trial. And if you like it, stick around. If you don't, no problem.
Lovely. Thank you very much for answering my questions there, Robin, and for chatting today. Is there any comments, any questions from anybody before we wrap this up? No, that's okay. In which case, thank you very much, Robin. It's been a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thanks. That was nerve-wracking.
You did great. It's all good.
Thanks a lot. Take care, all.
Bye-bye.